would you like to introduce yourself to the nice people?
Hi, John. My name is Greg. I live in near Fredericksburg, Virginia, which I'm not really sure where to call it geographically. I've always kind of said it's Northern Virginia, but then the people in Northern Virginia say nope, and the people in my area say nope, and so I think they call it Northern Neck or something like that. But for people that aren't in the Virginia area, you say that and you get blank stares. So.
Yeah, we used to actually vacation in Fredericksburg when I was a kid. I mean my mom and her sisters still go every year pretty much, but nice
Yeah, so
place.
I'm about 20 minutes to the east of it. Yeah, it's nice. I live in the woods. It's quiet. Traffic's great. No one bothers me. Not too shabby.
Is that where you're originally from, or did you move there later in life?
No, so I moved up here about 7 years ago. Where I'm originally from is kind of a long story. My dad worked for oil companies, so growing up, I moved around a lot. Born in Colorado, but only lived, when baby, we moved to England, lived there for 6 or 7 years, lived in Houston, North Africa, then Maine, and then back to Houston for most of my high school. So I claim Maine as where I'm from because that's kind of where I hit the formative teenage years
Hmm.
and learned to play Magic, Dungeons and Dragons, and all the nerdy things that have kind of made me who I am today. So even though I wasn't born there, I always kind of claim to be from Maine.
Yeah, so one of the first questions I like to ask is how did you learn how to play Magic and how did you get into old school?
So I started playing Magic in early '94. Probably just before Revise came out. I had a friend who invited me over one day, and he's like, "Look what my cousin introduced me to." And I think his cousin lived in New York City, someplace big that actually had Magic cards that early. And so he gave me an unlimited starter and maybe a pack of antiquities. I know I got a pack of antiquities somewhat early on.
Hmm.
And that was it for a long time. I mean, we never up in Maine got really any legends, or I think we got a little bit of the dark at the local basement of some guy's house that he also sold baseball cards out of. So it was kind of an adventure to get new cards until Fallen Empires and Ice Age and Chronicles came out. Um, that's kind of how I learned, and then he had taught me, and I kind of played it with him a few times. But then, like so many other people, Boy Scouts, summer camp, lots of kids there were playing it, and that's what really got me hooked, and introduced me to more than just the one friend. And then, he and I introduced it to our other friends, and then started a small play group, and then I was good for about a year, and then I moved to Houston and met some friends down there that played, and then those are the guys I played with for most of my time. And as far as getting into old school, at some point I found Magnus's blog. I don't remember how, and I remember thinking, oh, this is really cool, and I remember being really interested in it, but very turned off by their reprint policy. And so this was late 2015, early 2016, something when things were still somewhat more affordable than they are today.
Yeah.
And really wish I had got in then, but I kind of just followed it, looked, his blog and some others, and eventually found EC, and it was like, oh, revised and reprints and fourth edition, and that's when I really started playing and collecting, and found the DC group, I think through the Discord, and then started coming up and playing with you guys and Jimmy and everyone else at the Dice City Games.
Yeah, I have to say one thing that I find kind of interesting about people's stories is that often people remember learning how to play much more vividly than they remember getting into old school. Even
Right.
if for a lot of people coming back, I mean, playing old school is their reintroduction to the game. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, a lot of people say, "Well, I wasn't playing for 10 or 15 years or whatever, and then I found old school." Were
Yeah.
you still playing in the intervening years, or
So I played, pretty much nonstop until Arcadia Mask. So whenever that was 2000, 2001.
Mhm.
And then I kind of quit, sold off my the couple pieces of power I had, the duels, the expensive cards, gave the rest to my brother, and I still played. I played with him, and I had one or two other friends, because most of my high school friends, they had all quit, and we stayed, friends. We, did the other things together, Dungeons and Dragons, movies, just video games, hanging out. They had all stopped playing Magic, and so I didn't really collect or pay attention to the sets, but I would still play casually. And then I was in the Navy in the early 2000s, and started playing again there up until around Mirrodin, Champions of Kamigawa, all that. And then I got on a ship, and it became very difficult to keep playing, and I kind of just lost interest. And then I was done until my son was born, and I was like, well, let me start looking at picking back up a collections when he gets older, because I knew Magic was expensive and hard to get into back when I had played it, and then I saw some prices and realized that it had gotten even more crazy. So started picking up, and of course, while waiting for him to get old enough to play, I wanted to play, and so I got into Legacy, and then that is what led eventually to Old School. Now all I play is the more casual, community-driven, like Old School, Middle School, pre-modern, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to let people know what's about to happen. You decided on R40, which is, for anyone who doesn't know the acronym, although I would hope anyone watching this video does by now, it is Revised 40. So there are 40 card decks made only of revised cards, and yeah, I've got two of them sitting here.
Yes, the old trap question.
All right. So, left or right?
All right, so I think last time I picked left, and that didn't go so well for me, so let's go right.
All right. These games are like candy, so we'll probably end up playing a few, but
Oh yeah, probably.
Also, just to let people know, there's a couple popular versions of R40, which are there's a West Coast variant called affectionately Baller R40, which is that you can play as many cards as you can possibly get your hands on. And then there is the Northern Paladins version, which is basically what we're playing. I have a slight variant up on my blog that uses the 4 of rule, although it still has the number of rares and uncommons limitation. So you can only play 5 rares in my version, but you can have 4 of a rare if you really want to. I really like the Northern Paladins version. The only thing I don't like is I don't like playing against, 12 Curd Apes.
Yeah.
So while we're shuffling and drawing our hands, I wanted to ask a little bit. You mentioned that you bounced around in play groups a lot, but are you still in touch with any of the people that you grew up playing with?
No, not really. So, I did. So we all went to college, and then we'd come back and hang out in the summers and times like that. And then even a little bit after we were college, once I joined the Navy, that kind of made it hard to keep in touch, and they all moved away. So every now and then I'll and I don't do Facebook really or anything like that. So every now and then I'll email or text one of them, and we'll chat briefly. But we don't really stay all that much in contact, which is kind of sad. But it's kind of the way things go when you get older. It's hard to keep in touch sometimes.
Yeah. Would you like to call even or odd?
Let's go odd.
It's odd. Your choice.
Yeah. All right, I will play.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a dichotomy. The people who moved around a lot almost never seem to be in touch with the people that they grew up playing with. But I have talked to a few people who did manage to stay in touch with their childhood friends. Although
Yeah, and
maybe some people are just better about that than I am, right?
yeah, and that's a little thing too. So I mean, I've always kind of been that way. So like the friends, I've had since I was literally a baby in England, that I don't barely ever see. but when I do, we hit it right back off like we never left. So we don't really stay in contact, but we're still very good friends. And so as soon as we start chatting again, it's like there's not that awkward like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember you, and so that's always, it's, I guess, part of my personality is I've never really felt the need to stay in touch because the friends that I have and things like that, we've always just kind of you know we have that relationship where we don't really need to, and so that's probably part of it.
So I'm taking a mulligan.
Yeah, I did too with my first one. You want to just keep the 7 since we both mulligan?
Yeah, why the heck not? It's a friendly game.
Yeah. So much on the line with R40 webcam.
Okay. I will keep this hand.
Yeah, me too. All right, good luck.
You too.
All right, Forest, Lenore Elf, go.
Alright. It's making one of the cards in my hand look very poor. Go ahead.
Okay.
But wait, there's more.
Lenore Elf.
Lenore Elves.
Always more. Go to combat, and I'll giant growth it for 4.
16.
And pass it.
Oh dear. Play an island. Pass a turn. So we kind of talked a little bit faster than usual, but one of my questions I like to ask people is I like to ask a series of questions about people's favorites. So, what is your favorite win? And it doesn't have to be a specific game. It could be a way to win, but I'll pass.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have a favorite like specific win, but my favorite way to win is definitely via Berserk. I'm a huge fan of Berserk, and so last year at the Eternal Weekend, Dan and I. So Dan is the other member of our local group. There's 2 of us, and we call ourselves the Order of the Closed Fist after Gerard of the Closed Fist. And,
no, you've got one handy. Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
look at that. A graded one.
For like $10. Yeah. So, nice little coaster.
That is a fancy coaster.
Yeah, it's very fancy. I was very surprised someone took the effort to grade a Gerard. But so we went up there, and Jimmy roomed with us because he was coming in a little bit later. And so we were up the night before just playing our decks against each other. And I was playing my Elder Dragon all-in and concurrent crossroads Eureka deck, and I remember attacking at some point, and Jimmy probably took about like 10 minutes of verbally talking himself through. He's like, "Hey, does he play Berserk?" And Dan's just kind of in the corner snickering because he knows how much I love Berserk and casting it. And Jimmy eventually came to the decision, like, all right, well, he's got a Berserk. Probably I got to make these blocks, and then I double Berserk, and it didn't. So it's funny to watch Jimmy go through all this like mental, thinking it out very clearly, and then it just, in his face. I'll attack with the Elves.
I'll block. I'll block the one on the right. Okay.
All right, I'll giant growth. Well, I'll giant growth both of them. So
okay.
4 to you, and then and I'll pass the turn.
Island, Timmy.
Oh dear.
Your turn. Oh dear.
Oh, that is very problematic. Go to combat.
No blocks.
Okay. You sure you don't want to block with Timmy?
I'm pretty sure I don't want to block with Timmy. I'll go to 8.
Pass the turn.
Pass.
I'll go to combat.
I'll block one, ping the other.
Okay, no effects.
Okay.
And I will pass the turn.
Play yet another island and pass the turn. I swear this is not mono blue.
Yeah, I know.
I'll play another Timmy. Your turn.
Oh dear.
So, yeah, I eventually want to get Jimmy on camera, but I think it's hilarious that you mentioned his 10-minute thought
Oh yeah,
processes
he loves to
during the
go to the tank.
games. And just he's pretty much notorious for doing that even in a tournament.
Oh yeah.
So many of his rounds go to combat even when he's playing aggro. And oh man, when he was playing the Thallid deck, I'll pass.
Oh yes, he forever. Sorry, did you say go?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do a counterspell check with a hurricane for 4.
I'm at 4.
All right. And I will pass the turn.
Timmy, you.
All right, down to 19.
Okay, so let's ask another favorites question. I'll pass. What's your favorite loss?
So my favorite loss was at another Dice City event. Before I get into this story, let's try Hurricane for 4 again.
Power sync for 3.
All right. Your go.
Timmy, you.
Yeah. And so this was actually the event that you and I were both playing fairies at. And so I was playing Andy, who was on Dragons. And I remember he had I had an early Serendib, which for that day was an honorary fairy. And he had a...
oh, hold on. Serendibifreet is not an honorary fairy. It's way too big.
It's way too big, yeah. So I think my story rationale was the fairies had summoned the Serendib. They had the pixie tricksters had stolen the lamp and were summoning and that's how I justified it to myself to put a very good card into that deck. I'll play 2 Llanowar Elves.
Okay. Timmy 1.
All right. Your go. And then, so I ended up
Timmy the other.
doing I'll giant growth that one.
Sure.
A giant growth double berserk on the Serendib for 24 power, and he happened to block with a Shivan that he had gotten out very quickly to put himself at 1, and that was I think turn 3 maybe.
Are you sure this wasn't me? You berserked through my Shivan.
Yeah, I did the very same thing to you.
Okay.
But I ended up beating you. But yes, and so the next, probably 11 turns or so that we went, I never drew any other the few burn spells I had in the deck. Pass the turn, or ever, he was able to deal with all my creatures. Eventually, he did have a very grindy game, beat me, and then of course I did the thing you never do, and you look at the top deck, and it was a Psy Blast.
Attack for 2.
All right, down to 16.
Your turn.
Go.
Oh man, Timmy is just sad times. Attack for 2.
Timmy is rough for me.
Pass the turn.
Play a force. Go.
Attack for 2.
12. Death
Go
by
ahead.
healers.
Yeah.
Go.
Timmy, you. And attack for 2.
All right.
I free.
No.
Go ahead.
I'll make this go a little bit quicker. All right.
I do enjoy killing people with a freeze.
All right. Another counterspell check.
That's fine.
All right. Go.
Timmy, you.
All right. I'm down to 8.
I'm at 3. We'll go ahead and swords the force, and then attack for 5.
All right. So I will gain a total of 3 life.
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
counterproductive. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think it would have been even worse for you if you did not swords him.
He is definitely worth playing a zillion Llanowar elves for. I will Timmy you.
Yes. All right, down to 10.
I got a 2. Draw. Play land. Attack for 5.
Down to 5.
Go ahead.
All right. Play a Llanowar elf.
Okay.
You're at 2, you said?
I am at 2.
Hurricane for 1.
That's a 2 casting cost spell. We'll spell blast that.
Yeah. All right. And I will pass the turn.
Timmy you.
All right, down to 4.
I'll go to 1. And swing for 4.
All right, I'll block the healer.
Okay, I'll prevent 1.
All right. I'll giant growth it.
I'll Timmy it in response.
I'll giant growth it again.
I'll spell blast that.
All right.
You'll go to 1 and like it.
I will go to 1 and I will like it.
Go ahead.
I was going to 1 no matter what, but I was hoping to keep the elf. All right. I'll cast regrowth.
Okay.
And targeting a hurricane.
Uh-huh.
And I will attempt to hurricane for 1.
Whoop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do we have
I
enough?
got 5.
Oh, okay.
Nope, yep. And then pass the turn.
Timmy, you're in response to my Efreet.
Yeah, you got me.
I mean, I could have healered myself to keep from dying to the Efreet, but it's much more fun to use the stack, which did not exist in Revised.
Right. I was kind of surprised you tried to ping the elf instead of just killing me on your last turn. But
Yeah, I know.
I feel like I'm pretty sure you had a handful of counter spells, so I don't think it really mattered.
I mean, I also could have just attacked with everyone, right?
That would have also done the trick. Yeah.
Yeah, that was unnecessarily silly.
But you gave me the hope before you crushed all hope.
So, while obviously I know a little bit about your regular play group, and we've had other people from the DC area on here. But would you like to tell people a little bit more about your regular play group? Especially because you guys named yourself after Gerard.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your magical partner in crime?
Yes. So I met Dan actually through an eBay transaction. So I bought a beta lure from him off of eBay, and obviously it tells you where to send it. So he realized that we were very very close to proximity. So he sent me a message. We started chatting. We met up at a uh, restaurant. We also found out that we both worked very close to each other, and so started playing some games, and then that turned into a once a week thing. After work, we'd just go, you know, play some games for about an hour, hour and a half or so, and then yeah, and then now we've started traveling up to almost all the DC friends together. And like I said, he and I went to Eternal Weekend last year. He actually top 8 at Eternal Weekend, I think. Not 8, if not top 8, he top 16. But he did very well with his deck.
So how'd you end up at Dice City? Was it just the old school scene up there, or was it? I mean, is that sort of local for you? I don't know. I don't know how many game shops you have down in.
Yeah, so there's one now. We had another one, but even before this COVID niceness, it had made some poor decisions and ended up closing down, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So there's one sort of a hobby shop, but they really don't have much Magic. They're more like the vintage video games, and I think they have some Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. But they have Magic singles and stuff, but you have to ask, and then the employee looks around and pulls a binder and a box out. So it's not like they're really showing things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found out about the Dice City stuff through the Discord. I think Jimmy had advertised. I think it was the first one I went after was the Tribal Fairies one, which
Oh,
was
okay.
Sarpedia Cup, I think.
Yeah. So you found Dice City almost exactly the same time I did.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think I had gone to the first Sarpedia series, so if the fairies one was your first one, then that was the second
The
Sarpedia
second one,
series
yeah.
tournament. Yeah.
I'll play first, and I'm good with this hand.
I'll keep.
Forest, Elf, go.
That's not a good card. Island. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that might as well not exist in my hand.
Go.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Go to combat
Yep.
for 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, I'll do the other one then. So
All right.
6,
6 total. I'm at 14.
6. All right, pass it to them.
Fearsome little elves.
Yeah, they can bite you.
So let's ask about some more favorites. And
Okay.
while I suspect I know the answer to this question, I'm still gonna ask it. What is your favorite color? What
Yes,
is
so
your
if you
favorite
can tell,
color?
it is green. I actually only kind of a rule to myself. I only played decks with green in it in old school.
Oh, really? I did not know that about you.
Yeah, so actually the closest I have gotten to breaking that rule was the most recent tribal event that Jimmy held, where I brought the tribal steal your creatures deck because I couldn't decide on what tribe I wanted to be. So I decided that I would just load up with Old Men of the Sea and Sea Singers and Control Magics and Preachers. And the only green in there, I think, was Regrowth, Sylvan Library, and Rubinias. So I got
Yeah,
very close to breaking my rule, but I'll swing for 3.
I think Rubinia still counts as a green card.
Yeah, it was heavily off, and she did some work. So play another elf and pass it to her. Oh,
Oh. Go ahead. Need a creature deck.
I will. Yeah, swing for 3
I'm at 8.
and pass a turn.
Angel,
Okay.
go ahead.
Hurricane for 4.
Yep, you got it. Oh, I'm not quite dead yet, but
Yeah, you're at 2.
yeah,
But,
I'm not going to be able to survive the next turn. So,
yeah, I had a regrowth. So
um, so yeah, let's talk about a few more of the green decks that you've played. You've mentioned the fairies deck. It's actually been a little bit of time since we played each other in a tournament, and I don't just mean
I think
because
the only time
of
we
all
played
this.
each other in a tournament
Yeah,
was that the fairies on fairies matches.
is that really?
I think so. I mean, we played some games in between rounds and stuff. I think that's the only time we've
Yeah,
officially matched up.
yeah. I guess we've played a lot of R40 between rounds. So
Yeah, yeah. Usually bring your 2 decks and I'll borrow whichever one you don't feel like playing and we'll jam.
yeah. So tribal steal your creatures was a very interesting idea. And did you end up with a creative nod for that one?
Yeah, I think I was honorable mention or runner, whatever they called it.
Yeah.
Someone had the some sort of singleton.
Right, right. Okay. So yeah, that was last fall's Serpadia Cup.
Yeah, the one
So
we had at the brewery.
right. So the winner of most creative for that tournament was Luke, who made a singleton art deck. He got every
Yes,
single
that's right.
card that was he he got every single card that was painted by one of the artists that we had as a guest. So that was Drew Tucker and Anson Maddox.
Anson was there, and
Yeah.
Wakovich was there too, I believe, right?
Um. Yeah, I'm not sure. He might have. I forget exactly what his criteria was for including an artist, but it wasn't just that he included. It wasn't just that he, included anyone's art. He was specifically
Right.
including certain artists, and so that's why he got the singleton win, even though we had
Oh, yeah.
two singleton decks in attendance that were both pretty interesting. But yeah, I remember hearing about the tribal steal your creatures deck, and I thought I found that to be equally interesting, and I don't know. It's sort of stretching the idea of a tribe, right?
Yes.
Like it's very much a theme deck, but I liked the moxie of calling it a tribe. So
Well, so the other thing too is so for the tribe, like they did prizes for all that. I told Jimmy and Jamie that I would tell them what creature I stole the most, and that would be my tribe. So
what did that
for
end
the
up being?
event, I was a tribal dwarf deck. And then, so
Did you
one of
steal
them
Jimmy's
asked,
dwarves?
no, I didn't play Jimmy. It was someone else had like a pretty much mono dwarfs, mono red deck with all the bad dwarfs and as well as the 2 good ones. But I am with Jimmy on that one. The Dwarven Soldier is underplayed, I think, in old school, and Lieutenant does have some use if you've got something, the mana to sink into it.
Yeah. I So I was a little salty about the tribal rules for that tournament. I know I've told some people about this before, but I ended up playing tribal clerics,
Which wasn't one of their
which was
supported
not
tribes.
one of the supported tribes, even though there are the Pum Knights are obviously the famous cleric, and they're printed as a cleric. They were actually a cleric, but
Right,
there
yeah,
are
yeah.
there are several other clerics in Fallen Empires. It was a
Oh, yeah.
well represented tribe in the set. White in particular has 3 different clerics, I believe. They have a combat medic who's a cleric
Yep.
and a Cation priest who is a cleric. So,
And that's always semi healer too. That's a cleric, right?
right. I mean, I did throw in, I did throw, so I did a deck that was themed around Feral, who was the white preacher
Yeah,
from
I remember.
Fallen Empires. White magic preacher. And, oh boy. Alright. Put this on the bottom. And I'll play an island and pass.
You'd be surprised by this turn one play, but
No
there's a
way.
Landwehr Elf. Yeah, I know. Go.
Go.
Go to combat
19.
for 4,
16.
and then I'll play an elf.
No.
Oh.
I love Spell Blast.
Yeah, it's
Get him out of here.
especially going forward. Yeah. Here we go.
Plains, your turn. Yeah, there are definitely times where you know, in this format, Spell Blast and Power Sync are pretty much equally good.
Yeah.
The premier removal in the format is obviously 1 mana. 15.
Yes.
Unless there's
Here you
more.
go.
Your turn. But
Swing for 1.
but also a lot of the really good cards are only a couple mana, so
Yeah, I could definitely see that being. And then
your
it
turn.
also tends to be, more of a dirtly going out longer game. So having all that extra mana for power sync can really be useful.
Yeah, well that's Hurricane.
Hurricane for 4.
Man, you've always got it. 10.
I have the most hurricanes I'm allowed to run.
No.
Go.
Healer. Your turn.
Go to combat.
No blocks.
Okay. Giant growth. And giant growth.
I'll spell blast the second one, I guess.
Okay.
So
So
I go to
5.
6. Or sorry, 5.
5, yeah. Okay. Your go.
Timmy, your turn.
No.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the hurricane's coming. I just got to make sure I do this. All right, there we go. Hurricane for.
You got it. Well done.
I almost forgot about the.
Yeah, I drew exactly 1 swords in our entire match. Would have been helpful at least once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It probably won you that game, though. That force of nature would have done some real work.
all right, I'm gonna switch decks and ask you a question. Are you gonna switch, or are you just playing the green one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me. Actually, no. I'll stay with this one, yeah.
Really? Okay.
I have parts of another green deck. Once again, shocker. But I'd have to go find it. So might as well just stick with it.
All right. So let's ask. It's been a little while since we asked a question here. So I know that you like going to Dice City to play, and you. But what's your favorite environment to play Magic in? Like, do you prefer going to the game store to play, or do you get enough play at home?
So So I like going to the game store. I mean, so I have two young kids, so it's difficult to get that work up those dad/wife to get a whole day off, and especially since I live like we said about an hour and a half from DC and DC games. So for me, going up is an all-day thing. So I usually pretty much keep it just to the tournaments and bigger events he runs. But I do prefer the more casual kitchen table-y. Like, I would like just to show up for a day and then bring 4 or 5 different decks and just play against 4 or 5 different people. That are not necessarily in a structured tournament type thing, but more just casually playing, getting to know you, BSing, playing fun decks, that sort of stuff. So that's definitely my preferred way to play Magic, and that's what Dan and I usually do when we play a week is we'll jam, and you can actually kind of see some of the decks we've played. We have a YouTube channel which is I think it's just Order of the Closed Fist. Dan runs it, and obviously we haven't updated it since March, but some of our old videos are up there, and you can tell which decks I'm playing. I have the Landwar Elves playmat, and they're all green, and then Dan is the one viciously mind twisting and hypnotoraking me at every chance he can get.
Do you want to call even or odd? Since I switched?
Let's go odds again, since that worked so well last time.
It's odd. It's your choice.
I'll play.
All right.
I'm good with this hand.
I am tremendously good with this hand.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Here we go. Go.
Forest, Script Sprite. Your turn.
All right. Go to combat.
Block.
Giant growth.
Sure. I gotta reset my life total. No way.
I know. Go.
You done?
Oh, yes, I can go.
Mountain, something bigger than a Llanowar Elf. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Grizzly
Taylor's
Bears.
oldest
See,
time.
this is what happens when you have a format that allows 13 Curt Apes in a single deck. You don't get to play Grizzly Bears, which look at the little guy. I mean, we've had Jeff Menges a couple times at Dice City, and we made beer tokens. So,
I have one of those, actually. Yeah.
do you actually have one handy? Because this is one of my favorite things ever. And the silly thing was, I didn't buy a beer, so I didn't end up with the beer tokens, even though I had to make them. But yeah, they all say summon beer.
Yeah, I have the Mons Goblin Raiders one, and then from the Legendary tournament, I have the Active Volcano beer tokens. Yeah.
Yeah, and the like really stupid thing was that I made those tokens, but after the tournament, I was like, oh crap, I didn't get a beer, so I never got a beer token, and that says summon grizzly beers, and then I realized, wait a minute, I have markers at home, I can make one. I made them. I literally made them.
No one will ever know that it's not authentic.
Oh boy.
Let's go to combat.
I'll block one.
I will giant growth it.
Sure. You're gonna run out of those eventually.
Maybe. Your
go. Script Sprite, Curt Ape. Your turn.
Okay. And you do have a forest. Ah, great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's Hurricane for 1.
Sure. 17.
And I'll attack with 2 elves.
I'll block one.
I will giant growth it.
Okay. I'm at 16.
Your go. I'm at 19.
Grizzly Bear, your turn.
I will go to combat.
I'll block one.
Alright, I do not have the growth this time.
Okay, I'm at 14. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I have more creatures than you have giant growths.
I would hope so. I do have a lot of giant growths.
All right. I'll play one of my rares and
Oh,
another crit ape, and
all
then I'll
right.
attack for one.
For two, you mean?
Oh yes. Oh my God. Yes. Look at that. So used to 1/1s. Go ahead.
Right. All right. 17. Force of nature.
Sure.
Go.
Six, seven. Okay, I can live. All right. Go ahead.
Upkeep. Go to combat.
Block. No.
All right. So that's 11 total damage.
I take two.
So 3, 3, 2, 1, and then 2 to you.
Yeah.
All right. Your go.
Ugh. Okay, you got this.
That was a good top deck.
Yeah, it was. I really needed another land.
Which is funny in a super low to the ground red green aggro deck, right?
Yeah. I guess I could have taken some more damage and waited until I had two creatures so that I could actually kill something that was giant growth. But I don't know. Oh man, they're all upside down. Oh, I hate it when this happens.
Back in your deck.
Just one random one not upside down at the bottom. Alright, let's find another question to ask here.
Alright.
Okay, so this doesn't have to be your current favorite, but it could be a favorite from any point in your Magic playing experience. What's your favorite format?
Ooh. That's a good question. So obviously right now, old school is what I play the most, and I think it's close to my favorite of all time. But I think that's mostly the nostalgia of not necessarily the cards. You and I talked about this before. We both kind of at least in the early years didn't have the power, didn't have the four of rares and stuff, and so. But it's the play style is what I'm nostalgic for. Swords to Plowshares and Lightning Bolts, Giant Growths, that kind of this era before creatures had entered the battlefield and became spells on legs and things like that.
Right.
But I think the most fun format I've ever had was something me and my friends in high school, we kind of invented, and this would probably be about 98 or so when Tempest came out, because I was starting to get a little more competitive. I would actually go on to start playing in actual tournaments and stuff like that later that year, and I almost almost qualified for Pro Tour. I actually had Lethal on the stack and then conceded because I wasn't going to be able to make the Pro Tour, and at the time didn't realize that you could defer and then work with them to do that. So but at a PTQ, but and then that, me getting more spiky kind of pushed some of my friends out, and that's also kind of why they got tired of trying to keep up with all the new sets and the power creep that was happening around Tempest and Urza Saga. And
Yeah.
so we came up with a format that was singleton, basically Highlander, not Commander or anything like that, but just 60 card, only one of, except for basic lands and things like that. And then, so that just became like a brewer's paradise. There was, like I said, net decking was starting to become a thing. So there were people in our play group that would always go find the greatest Type 2 deck and build that. And we couldn't net deck for this because no one else was playing it at the time, at least not big enough to get noticed. And so that was probably the most fun format because you could build whatever you want, personalize your decks, all of that stuff. All right, I'll take 3 on my upkeep. Go.
Go ahead.
Is that a bolt on my Elves?
Yeah.
All right, sorry, it got a little fuzzy. All right, I'll take
sorry.
2 more. You're good. I figured that's what it was. But... Oh.
All right.
Go.
You're under the vice now.
I'm at 4 exactly. Yep.
Okay. Critic. Attack.
No blanks.
Your turn.
Go to combat.
No blocks.
All right, just 2.
Okay. 18.
Elf. Here we go.
Attack for 3.
No blocks, down to 11.
Ape. Your turn.
Force of nature.
Yep.
Go.
You have 4 elves and 2 lands.
Yes.
Alright. Crit Ape. Pass turn.
All right, upkeep. Go to combat.
I'll take 8.
Okay.
No 10.
Glenmore Elf. Go.
Yeah, I can never get 4 mana.
Hey, 2 giant growths too. So.
Right. 1 more.
Sure.
Surprisingly good deck.
It's been fun. So really makes me wish that Berserk was reprinted and revised.
Alright. Let's ask one of the, I guess, kind of candy questions while we're playing the last game. These are really fast. What do you prefer to imbibe during your Magic playing?
So usually a beer. So I enjoy, darker, more hearty beers. I'm not a fan of the light beers or things like that. So, Oktoberfest is my favorite style of beer. So this is perfect time of year. I also like, the various whiskeys, Scotch, Irish whiskey, bourbon. So, I'll drink those too.
I'll keep.
Yeah, I'll keep 2.
Go ahead.
Go.
Swing.
19.
Go ahead. It's funny how even playing 4 apes, you can draw multiples.
Right.
This is why you don't need 13.
Yeah, so it is only 40 cards, so. Elves, go.
Swing.
I'll block them both. Giant growth. Giant growth.
Okay. I will play my natural 20 Juggernaut.
Yeah, nice.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll take 6.
Script Sprite. Your turn.
I'll swing with the elves.
I'll block 1. For the 19. It's weird blocking.
And I will play now. Go.
Alright. Swing.
Take another 6 down to 7.
I'll play this forest and pass.
Swing with 1 elf.
18.
Go.
Swing.
I'll block the Juggernaut and Giant Growth.
Okay.
Down to 6.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Swing.
I'll block and Giant Growth.
Bolt in response. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can you just slam a Force of Nature right now? That would be awesome.
I'm trying to.
Go
The
ahead.
deck is not cooperative.
Oh, take 1. Yeah.
Yep. Down to 5.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
2.
Down to 3.
Go ahead.
It's not a force of nature.
Alright.
Go ahead.
2.
I'll block the elf and Giant Growth.
Oh,
And
okay.
down to 2.
Alright. Go ahead.
Might be a little late. Force of nature.
Alright. You want to
Swing
see
for
the
1.
most stylish win possible? Go.
Oh, you were just waiting for that, weren't you? Yes, I will beat me in my own face before.
Oh, man.
Nice. Nicely done.
It's literally the only use for this card against your deck
Yeah.
is to hope that you play
And
a
even
Force
in a
of
lot of
Nature.
cases, it doesn't do the trick because if I have so many elves, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so, like, the first couple games, I had a Fireball the whole time, and I could never get enough mana to split it.
Right, right. Yeah, Fireball is good against me.
But yeah, that's got to be the most stylish win possible. All right, that was a 5 minute game. Or actually, might have even only been 4 minutes. So
Yeah,
let's
that
try
was
another one. We'll see if I can even up one of the matches. If not, I'll go home with my tail between my legs.
usually the opposite. Usually you beat me pretty handily in these R40 matches.
I deserve to get beaten once in a while. My match against Dave Firth Bard was he killed me on the third turn in the first game, and then we played like 5 more games, and he didn't get another one. It was amazing.
That's pretty great.
But it was pretty fun. It was a Kobold Army.
Yes, I saw that one. Actually, that's almost what I brought to the event I brought the Pixies for, but I figured someone else would have kobolds, and I was trying to go for a unique deck, and then it turned out you brought Pixies too. So
Yeah, that was amazing. And
playing.
and we weren't the only two. There was a third person, but they were really just playing Earnum and Burnham,
Yeah,
and they had the sprites and the Pixies, so they qualified.
right.
But yeah, us the two of us going pretty much full on. I did not expect that, and then the fact that we got paired against each other, it was just.
Right.
I'm keeping this hand.
Yeah, me too. Nope.
Go.
Go to combat.
19.
Giant growth it.
16.
Final route. Go.
Grizzly beers. Go ahead.
Little bee.
The beers.
Go to combat.
Block both.
No effects.
All right. I'll be sad that my elf dies, but happy that both of yours do.
Nope. Oh, but there's more. There's always more.
2. Coming in hot.
18.
Go ahead.
Swing for 1.
Da beers, da beers, da beers.
Go ahead.
Oh man, come on. 2.
16.
Juggy. Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh. That's a big guy. Go ahead.
Sure you don't want to slam a force?
No.
Play an elf before combat and swing for 7.
I'll take 7 down to 9.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Whee!
Guess I block the Juggernaut and take 3
All right.
on a 6. That's going to be a
Go
problem.
ahead. Yeah, I find it funny your reaction to me playing the Juggernaut, considering what the guy on this is saying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I'll play an elf and pass a turn.
All right. Hey, a mountain. I am playing 2 colors. Juggernauts must attack.
I'll block both Juggernauts and go to 3. You got the bolt?
Well, yeah. Which particular way do you want?
I would prefer you not do any of them, and then I can double Hurricane for 3 on my turn.
Oh. I mean, I'll allow it. evened up. Okay.
Yep.
It's always a good way
Good match.
to leave the match.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I used to be I used to have like a slightly competitive nature, but I really feel like lately, you know, playing in playing in an old school tournament, I really just wish every match were 4 games and everyone just got 2-2 all the time.
Yeah, so I'm still like you said, a little bit competitive. I think where I'm at now is I like brewing spicy, decks that not everyone else plays, and then, like I said, I'm always in green, so that gives me some fun things like Eureka and Living Plains of one I've been having a lot of fun with. And although that's not much fun for my opponents, so I usually try not to bring that to tournaments and stuff.
See,
I just make
anyone who
I make
thinks that
do those.
anyone who thinks that Living Plane is not fun for them to lose with is they just have no soul.
Yeah.
And just
What
finding
you know
ways to
lands on turn 4 or 5, is
I just, it's a 2-card combo that mimics Armageddon, but
yeah.
people
So
people need to
yeah,
lighten
so
up.
I like to just try and optimize the bad decks. This is kind of where I am. So I don't go with except for the one time where I brought the tribal tree folk. That was kind of going there to knowing that wasn't going to end well.
Yeah.
I did
That was
2
pretty
wins with the
amazing.
deck somehow, though.
So which ones did you play? Because I'm gonna go
All of
grab
them.
a card. Okay, all right. So just tell people what they are because
All right. So obviously there's the ones that are named tree folk. There's Iron Root tree folk or Iron folk, whatever it is. Um, there's the Wormwood tree folk from the dark. But then also Guy's Avenger is a tree folk. And there's Argothian tree folk from antiquity. So I think those are the 4 tree folk that exist in old school by the current errated rules.
right, right. So is Guy's Avenger errated to be
Yes,
a true
I think
folk?
on the thing it says Summon Guy's Avenger. I
Yeah,
have to look
yeah.
again, but it's something like that, yeah.
Um,
So at some point it got updated to tree folk, which I found when I was searching for. I didn't know that until I was, looking in Skyfall for tree folk.
so I'm pulling some stuff out of the cube. These are cards that people
Yep, I
will
ran those.
not will not remember.
Oh yeah,
And a
actually
lot of
not.
people are familiar with Argothian pixies in old school, but
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, pixies is great because it can't be blocked by artifacts. Argothian tree folk can still be blocked by artifacts. It's
Not as
amazing
good.
how and these are some of the things where you have to wonder, was this an oversight? Was it multiple people working under the same rules, or did they remove it because they thought that it was just too good
I
if it
think if
had
you
it?
look at early creatures in Magic, there was, from the designer standpoint, I get the feeling that there was a big fear that creatures were going to be too powerful and would run away with the games, and that's why all the creatures suck.
Yeah. Um so there's one more. So that one's in the cube, but I'm gonna go grab my box of fun because so Wormwood Tree Folk is another one that people are just not familiar with.
Yep.
And I want to
Yep.
pull him out because this is Jesper Mirfers, and this is just one of the most amazing pieces of art in all of old
I love
school.
it. It's just so
I
yeah.
I mean, I
Unique.
cannot look at this without giggling, and it's what's amazing about it is it's got Jesper's like impressionistic painting because
Mm-hmm.
because he tends to have a lot of smearing in
Yeah.
his colors and but the foreground is so crisp on this, which is out of character for him. And the goofiness of it is just
Oh, yeah.
straight out of like Quentin Hoover or I guess Phil and Phil and his
Yeah.
wife, like the Folios.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
And I love that piece of art so much, and someone on the Discord posted fairly recently a picture of a miniature figurine that was made of that card, and it's just the most perfect thing ever because it's this completely forgotten
I have a
card.
bunch of, hold on, let me,
It's this completely forgotten card that had a miniature made for it.
oh no, so I have Prodigal Sorcerer, find it. I have Elvish Archers and Lay Druid.
Yeah, so those are pewter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one for Wormwood Treefolk I saw was actually I believe it was actually plastic, maybe, or possibly vinyl, something
Yeah.
not pewter, because they hadn't opened it and it still had color. But I just love the fact that this is a completely forgotten creature that they thought was going to be popular enough to have a toy made for it. Like,
Well, like Herloon Minotaur was the face of Magic for like a decade, and it's a 2-3 for 3.
yeah, I mean, they had to pick.
Played it
I feel like they
serious.
had to pick something that was a creature that was common and
The art is great.
wasn't.
I do
Yeah, the art
Herloon
is
Minotaur,
great.
so I can see where they went from there. But it's just funny that that's the face of Magic, and it's
I
the
think
vanilla.
part of it is that it wasn't a person.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the iconic creatures look like humans,
Right.
which could be a little bit of a problem when you put them on a box.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, I would know Shivan personally, but
when I was in the army, I was in Monterey for school, and one of the people at the card store that I went to had a deck where he played with Herloon Minotaur, and he played with it just because it was cool. Like he liked the
yeah,
art, and just to illustrate like how much of a jerk competitiveness makes you, like I would make fun of the deck. I mean,
right.
not like seriously, not like, but it was really like, I don't know. He actually got it, and I get it
Right.
now. And he
You get
was,
yeah, exactly.
and
Now I will bring a tribal tree folk deck to a tournament and not care at all. But yeah,
yeah, and he was about as old then as I am now. I mean, I'm sure it's an age thing,
I, I'm sure.
that we just kind of age out of competitiveness a little bit, some of us, but
Oh, I mean, there's
not
definitely
everyone.
some competitive people in the community that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying everyone. I just mean some
Right.
people. But
I agree. I think that's really the flavor and the spirit of the format is just hanging out with your buddies, doing fun things. And the Magic is. I mean, lots of other people have said this in various other podcasts or video streams and stuff. It's not, Magic is not the reason for the gathering. Magic is something we're doing while we're gathered together.
mhm. Yeah, and also like one of my favorite lines about the format came from Dave Firthbard a long time ago, where he called old school a joke format, and that it's better the more people who are in on the joke. And
Right. Some people are more in it than others, and yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of been going away, but maybe not entirely. But
Yeah, I think it's still there. It's just
it's a
probably don't
I
see
mean,
it as much.
it's just my perception because we don't see each other in person right now. So
Yeah, that's what I say. I think, there's been a lot of talking and things on the Discord and stuff about people. It seems like things are changing, pulling back, and I think the soul of old school, if you will, is still the same. It's just those people are not being as vocal as they used to be, and so it sounds like they're leaving and gone, but they're still around, and they're just waiting for the in